Good morning. I should be live on YouTube. Let me just launch Divergent. Whoa. Okay. So it should be live on Divergent and then Telegram. Strange how Telegram is always so slow to launch. So good morning. This is video number 149 in 2025. And I'm about to trade the EU session on the 24th of June 2025. The European markets will open in approximately 2 or so minutes. I imagine that there would be people having some questions about the post that I made yesterday about this channel closing, and I would like to address that as well. But perhaps we can do that a little bit later on in the session. So the overriding news is a ceasefire between Iran and Israel/America. This has pushed the markets significantly higher. I have to believe that that was what this was about. As I said, would love to just talk about that trade yesterday. This market makes a high up here at there we go, I think it was 428, and I decided to sell short basis this high here. Do you see that? That's 433, and my fill was 42,408. What obviously annoyed me was how school run, just how I had initially shorted against this double top here, and I had taken a loss, fair and square, but it was quite a big loss. It was and to me it was a painful loss. There are losses that is just sort of run of the mill, and then there's painful loss. There's just honor the European Open. There we go. So we have a gap up, dare I say, obviously. Also, if you look at the DAX daily chart, you will notice how yesterday it closed above the lowest bar. That tends to be quite significant on the daily chart. So you might want to just always be mindful of When, for example, you're seeing up here how the DAX closed below the highest bar. So the daily chart will now suggest that we're headed back up to new all-time highs. For fun, I'm going to look at the weekly chart. So anyway, I imagine I would want to attempt to be a buyer, maybe be a buyer below the pre-market low at 678. So please stand by for that. Looks like we're going to have a first bar negative in the Footsie. So either I want to be a buyer down here at 8804. So stand by for a long position in the DAX. Would like to be a buyer around 678. It currently has traded as low as 688. I could just put an order in, couldn't I? If you hold your shift button in and drag the mouse. So I've been filled on a long position in the DAX. $23,676.8. And I'm going to have a stop loss around 23,620. So I'm just going to move my stop loss here. I haven't upgraded my charging package yet. There we go. So does this entry make sense to you, what I just did? Now let's look at the Footsie. Didn't actually get that opportunity. As entries go, ladies and gentlemen, I think this has got to rank as one of my best ones ever. The low was 75.7 and my fill was 76.8. But remember, you have to factor in the spread. But you know what? I'm going to take profit now. I think that's the quickest 60 points I've ever made. That has got to be the quickest 60 points I have ever made in the DAX index. I think you would agree with me on that. Of all the mornings that we have been together, what was the fill? 670 and then 736.9. I'm not saying that it can't go higher. I'm just thinking, yeah, do you know what? That was a nice setup. It certainly undo some of the damage from yesterday in the regular session. So in the Footsie index, what we have now, bar 1 is a first bar positive. I had hoped for it to be a first bar negative, but even so, it was this bar here that doesn't actually have a name, or which would at 8804, which I thought was interesting. Now, if we didn't have a ceasefire scenario here, what I would have done, we can see here that we got some German news coming out. Although I have to say, I don't see that as a red letter event on my Forex Factory. So there must be something in the settings. Oh well, I'll figure this out. Yeah, don't tell me. I'll figure it out. Don't tell me. I'll figure it out once I downgrade the. There's a filter that allows you to filter the news. Okay, stand by in the Footsie, please. Maybe not trade this in £300 a point. Stand by. Did I just miss the boat there? Stand by. I press the button. I'm long the Footsie at 8800. So I attempted to be a buyer below 1. Can I ask you a question? and it's not for you to answer to me, but to yourself. Are you a little hesitant to take this trade in the Footsie now because you just had such a great DAX trade? And you realize, well, actually, if I lose on this Footsie trade, I would have lost what I made on the DAX. It is okay to feel it. Of course it is. You can't stop feeling things. The purpose is not to stop. You're not a lesser human being because you feel that. But in my experience, if people start off with a winner, they get more risk conservative on the subsequent trade, especially if it's a bit of a quick windfall trade. So if you feel, oh great, I'm on a roll, good, just ignore what I have to say. But if you feel, oh Jesus, I just made a lot of money very quickly, and now I'm risking it again, and it doesn't look very good, what should I do? Well, first of all, acknowledge that whatever you're feeling comes from your subconscious mind, and you can't control that. You can manage it, but you can't control it. It's what has kept you alive for eons. It is about acknowledging, okay, that's how I feel, but it just isn't valid. See, someone like me, I still get sensations like that, and I go, oh, geez, come on, that's ridiculous. Now, I think that the reason why I got a feeling like that is because my ability to read price charts would suggest, oh, do you really want to be a buyer here? It came down really, really quick. So yeah, I acknowledge that. It did come down really quick. Also, this is a first bar positive setup, and you'll remember that the first bar positive, you're actually a seller below one, but I decided to do the opposite. Decided to do the opposite because the first bar positive sells have failed over the last 4 occurrences, where it would have made more sense to be a buyer below 1. The DAX is obviously creating a somewhat of a two-way flow. There were buyers below 2, there were sellers above 1. I would like to be a buyer again in the DAX. Excuse me. Excuse me. There really isn't much go in this, is there? Stand by for another long position in the DAX. Below bar 3, here we go. Stand by. I'm buying the DAX here at 93.2. So what I've done here is I attempted to exploit what seems to be an early trading range, and by being a buyer below 3. I feel less confident about the Footsie, so I'm going to reduce the stake size. I'm taking a 2-point loss on half, and half of what I have left, so I reduced my stake size significantly. I just, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed how the DAX just went flying up and then back down again. So hopefully 4 and 5 will create the base around the opening low, around 1. But it always concerns me when I think, okay, that's a good entry, and then the market goes in my favor and then quickly reverses. I go, oh, okay, has the music just changed? So let me show you with the loss I took in the Footsie. I lost, well, you can see there, 2 points and 3 points, so thereabouts. So I reduced the stake size in the Footsie significantly, just because I'm thinking, it doesn't look so good. Maybe the wiser thing to do would have been to close it all together. Okay, so the DAX is doing better. We're coming up to school run short, which is actually triggered, and school run long, which would be triggering up here. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so the DAX is pushing higher again, back into the trading range. It's a hesitant market this morning, isn't it? I'm closing my DAX here for 7 points profit. Just stepping aside, just feeling a little bit, perhaps a little bit unsure if this is as bullish as it portrays itself to be. Yes, I can see we are in a big gap up, but how the price action unfolds makes me a little. So there's the. Let me just post this. Okay, that was not what I wanted to do. Ah, shit, I'll do that later. Don't have to do that right now. I think I'll wait now for school run. If I'm not disturbing you, perhaps you will let me talk a little bit about the post that I made yesterday about closing the room. It's a pretty simple story, but it's also not simple at all. Ironically, it starts somewhere completely different. I have been working on stripping body fat and increasing muscle mass. You may say, oh, God, that's so vain. It's actually what I would call functional. I want to increase the amount of muscles that I have because I've hit that age where what we call sarcopenia is a very real thing. Essentially, as you grow older, your ability to convert the available amino acids in the food, the proteins, is reduced. And so, if I eat a steak and you eat a steak, but you're 20 years old and I'm in my mid-50s, you will extract about twice as much as amino acids from that steak than I do. And so that is the reason why the vast majority of the population, as they grow older, will lose their muscle mass and increase their body fat. And when you lose your muscle mass, you are more prone to falling. And if you have a fall and you break, say, your femur or something, you have just significantly increased the odds of dying. Now, this all sounds very dramatic, but that's just sort of, shall we say, the facts of life. although I imagine that a doctor would explain this far more elegantly than I do. So I am engaging on this program and I am not losing fat. And so I have blood tests taken, and this is where it gets a little bit funny. And so I have blood tests taken, saliva tests taken, urine tests. Went through one of those tests where you provide urine sample and saliva sample throughout the entirety of the trading of the day. And incidentally, on that day was a day where I was trading heavily. Anyway, the results came back, and the result from the doctor was that your body is significantly under stress. And I said, yeah, no shit, man. I'm a trader. I engage in a world where everybody else in the world, they go to work and they get a salary whether they do a good job or not. I don't. If I do a crap job, I come back from work poorer than I am now. So, okay, well, anyway, so the story goes that you are experiencing a significant stress response in your body. It's okay. And I was advised to begin to make note of what situations cause a stress response. When do you feel anxiety? When do you feel, stressed? And I realized through, shall we say, blogging my emotions, that the thing that caused me the most stress was when I looked at my Telegram channel and I saw that I had, say, and just want to show you something because you think I'm making this up, but I'm really not. So imagine how you would feel if you came to your email inbox, and let me just resize that so you can see it. How would you like to come to your email inbox and see that you had 633 emails? Just keeping an eye on the Footsies. I'm glad that I reduced it. I'm glad I got out. I read that correctly. Now it's just a question of how do we deal with the school run. Please stand by. I know I stopped this story mid-flow. You're just going to have to wait a little bit. So right now, how I read this is that you need to short below 668, which is the current low, but we are trading inside the overnight range, which means that the ante really should be in place, meaning that we should be buyers. So please stand by. I may well want to be a buyer below 668. I'm buying the DAX here. Oh, my fill is 669. So I've deployed the ante. And that didn't seem to be the right idea right now. 23669.7. Wow. I'm completely on the wrong side of this, huh? Shit. Stop loss. Put that 610. The ranges are big today. That was a really, I don't want to say unlucky as if I didn't have luck, but that was an ill-placed long position. Now it's just a question of how bullish is this market really? So while I'm waiting for that, let me continue the story. So over the last couple of days, I have tracked how much time I've spent answering questions. And so yesterday, when I made the announcement, it was clear to me that I can't keep doing this, because all the valuable time that I would use to research and read is spent on answering questions. And that sort of depletes my tank, so to speak, and I don't get any inspiration. And I felt, well, those people who follow me, they aren't necessarily served either by me answering individual questions. And it's not that I don't want to answer questions, but it's just, I don't think it's the best use of my time. And when it begins to affect your your health, that you have such an inordinate amount of people writing to you, and this is, I'm not making this up. This is the state of affairs right now. 633 messages, and there's probably a joker right now that is just going to type in 634. But I can appreciate a good joke either. But and I decided that the right thing for me to do was to say, no, I got to look after myself. So I'm taking July and August off, and then I'll decide if I want to come back and do this. But trust me, I actually do enjoy this process. I actually do enjoy the trading bit. It's the answering never-ending questions that I don't enjoy. And I think it's important that I pay heed to that. So there you go. That's the very short explanation. I want to spend time on teaching you how to deal with the emotional pressure and setups and all these wonderful things that makes my living. This is my livelihood. And I don't have YouTube ad revenues. I'm not doing that so that I can dime a dollar out of YouTube. I haven't got affiliate agreements with brokers. You'll never have seen me post an affiliate link anywhere because I haven't got any agreements. I don't have anything against it. It's just not something that I've engaged with. And by the way, while we're at it, no, I'm not the clandestine owner of TD365. I see that is being suggested out in the completely unfiltered, uncensored world of Reddit. And you're thinking, fuck me, what are they on about? So to me, this is just a love project, but it's also something that makes me a better trader as well. Because when you teach, you tend to understand something at a deeper level. And I enjoy that. I enjoy teaching. But when you come to quote unquote work, and you're thinking, how am I going to reply to 633 messages today? Something is wrong. So there you go. So come September, I'll probably have figured something out. And hopefully I'm able to say, yeah, this is how it's going to work going forward. But there's also the chance that I'm going to say, you know what? I've done my bit. Thank you very much. Whatever it is, it's going to be coming from a place of of joy. It's like, that's the right thing for me to do. So there you go. Thank you for listening. Now, can you please move that DAX up? Let me just post what I have done so far this morning. Gotta say, got some doubts about this DAX position. That's an awful lot of bear bars. Closing at its lows, closing off its lows, but now pushing down towards 7 low. I think the bears are in control now. Even though we are in a massive gap up situation. I wonder if this is my opportunity to get out of my DAX position. I'm closing my DAX here, losing 5 points. Really in doubt about this trade. Well. I'm more at peace with the Footsie. It's a much smaller size now. So there you go. That is my performance from this morning. So I want to illustrate my point. Okay. Now, please don't take this the wrong way, but since I posted 633, this is what has happened. Now, what you have to appreciate is that I know it's so easy to say, oh, just ignore them. Yeah, but it's not that simple, is it? Because I still have to kind of clear them out. So I just need to figure out, what do I do with this? Because I genuinely, trust me when I say, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to continue doing this because I think, first of all, because I think I'm quite good at it. And I think you enjoy it as well, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And I think it's a very, very clear no bullshit agenda we got going. I see it as like a tribe, a community. We're here to support each other. If I have a shit day, you reach out to me and say, come on, dust yourself off and get back on the horse. And I actually really appreciate that another human being, even though we may not have met, you reach out to me going, come on, back on the horse. Maybe you should read that book called Best Loser Wins. that's probably the comment I love the most, when people write that to me after a bad day. Say, do you know what? There's a book you should read, Best Loser Wins. Like, oh, yeah, okay. That always makes me smile, because losing money is stressful, and learning this business is stressful. I know that, but that's one kind of stress. It's this thing here I don't know how to deal with. This thing here is, how do I deal with that? And so I decided just to take some months off. The summer holidays upon us anyway. I would have taken all of August off anyway. And this just gives me a month more to do some of the things that I enjoy, that you will ultimately benefit from. Research, for example. If you're curious, what kind of research do I want to do? Well, one of the things that I have really been curious about is when you look at the Footsie on a 30-minute chart. I have been curious about, is there an amount of points that the 30-minute chart has a tendency to go above the prior bar high, or is there an amount of points that it tends to go below the prior bar low? And I know it might sound like, well, that's a piece of strange research. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Time will tell. Another hypothesis that I would like to explore, and it was actually a gentleman called Ben that sort of reawoke that idea in me, going, well, he said something, and it wasn't actually that thing that I was interested in, but I got interested in, maybe it's better that I show you on a different charting package. But every single day, we are going to have a high bar and a low bar. One of these is going to be the highest of the day, one of these is going to be the lowest of the day. And I have wanted, and I did this a long time ago, but I didn't have the chart functionalities that we have today, is I want to explore this idea of when is the high of the day and when is the low of the day. And so the trade that I executed in the Dow Jones yesterday, and I told you about it, but we have stopped streaming. It was this one here. That short position there was my viewpoint that that's going to be the high of the day. And then it was just a question of, all right, my God, did I have to be patient. But it massively paid off. I mean, it was a humongous profit of 400 points. And so that's the kind of material that I want to dive into. And hey, it may turn out to be as fruitless as that time when I investigated the tide water in the Hudson River and its effect on the S&P 500 futures. It might. But I may also uncover something like School Run. You never know. And if you don't try, you certainly won't know. So me getting out of my DAX turns out to be the wrong decision. But I'll live. My Footsie, look how close I got to being stopped out. And now it's in profit. That's something. So we're going to let it run. And the DAX eventually would have made me another 30 points. But anyway, so I posted the trades for this morning. We made 360, then we lost 20, and then we lost 15, so that's 35. Then we made 50, so okay, so that puts us back in plus. And then we lost 33, and we still have an open trade. So overall, a very profitable morning. Came very, very quickly. That trade in the DAX lasted us just 1 minute and 30 seconds. So overall, a very profitable session of 340 pounds, although we still actually have an open position, which I may or may not just close now and spare myself any further attention to it because it's a rather small size. So obviously another thing that I want to explore in the 2 months that I'm away is, can I create some kind of automated response system so if people do reach out to me, at least they get a reply. And that's called a bot. But hey, you still have me for another week. And if all goes well, I'll be back in September. Anyway, for now, for this morning, which I don't think was the easiest mornings to trade, it's difficult to find long positions in the DAX when it's beginning to trend lower right from the open. But I think we got away with it, and we did well. I'll leave this Footsie open, and I'll manage it in Telegram. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I actually do have something I want to ask of you, but that will be later on. So for now, I'm going to sign out. And not that I want to make my point any more than I already have, but just to give you an idea of what's going on in my world. So we've gone from 633 to 675 to now 717. Yeah, I hope now you understand why I am doing this. Love you lots. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to trade with you. And I do love that when we make a profit. That's the best feeling. I will see you for the US session later on today. Bye bye for now.